For those who may not know me, my name is Omar Tyree, a New York Times best-selling writer, an NAACP Image Award winner, Fearless Weekly, a literary prize winner, and then I won a city council citation from the city of Philadelphia for urban literacy. But I wasn't born Omar Rashad Tyree. I was born Antoine Eric McLaurin in the bottom of West Philadelphia, one of the roughest neighborhoods in the city of Philadelphia, 38th and Aspen Streets, to my mother, who was the oldest of 8 children, and my father, who lived on the top side of West Philly, all the way up 63rd Street, and went to Overbrook High School, was the oldest of 4 children. And so I ended up being the oldest grandson on both sides of the family. And so in any culture, you're the oldest of the next generation. You're automatically the chief with the most responsibility. I grew up with aunts and uncles and older cousins, where I got a lot of information at a young age. And so when they say, it takes a village, I really was raised by a village because I was the first one, the first nephew. So with being the first nephew and the oldest little cousin, I was around individuals that did a lot of things that allowed me to end up telling a whole lot of stories as a young man. But in telling stories, I wasn't a typical reader sitting in a house, doing literary things. I was a typical rough and tumble boy outside, getting into trouble, fighting, stealing stuff, playing sports, very physical, boxing and football. Number 1 and 2 sports, football and boxing in that order. And so I've been raw my whole life, but I needed discipline and structure. So my mother, who was the oldest of 8, ended up being the first one to go to college, University of Temple, or Temple University. Graduated in 1974 with a pharmacy degree. I was 5 years old at her graduation. So I was a 4-year-old or born before she finished school and whatnot. And so being with my aunts and uncles, my mother being educated, she wanted to make sure that she kept me on the straight and narrow. And instead of, allowing the environment to raise me, she made sure she made certain decisions to make sure she had her hands in raising me. But me being a rough and tumble guy, she needed help. And so she got married to a 6'4", 230-pound monster named Melvin Austin Sr., because now I have a little brother, Mel Austin Jr. And dude put the discipline in me. They also sent me to Catholic school, so they had the extra measures to make sure they calmed down this West Philadelphia raw kid who was Antoine Eric McLaurin. As the story goes on, my mother pushed books and literacy hard to make sure I would be an educated youth and go in the right direction to get what I needed to get out of education, literacy, and the whole nine. So I end up becoming a storyteller because the family loved telling stories, loved watching movies. And so I was a movie watcher early, memorizing everything around me, including all the adult things that I wasn't supposed to see, wasn't supposed to mimic, wasn't supposed to do. But I was around my aunts and uncles and my cousins, so I'm doing it anyway because I'm around them every day. And so I was a lot more mature than kids my age. I was 5 going on 9. I was 9 going on 13. I was 13 going on 17 before I finally slowed down a bit and kind of mellowed in with my own peer group. But I was always advanced in what I knew and what I understood. And so here's what I understood in learning how to tell stories and learning how to be a literate individual who reads on a regular basis all the time to take in what I call information. And so as I became a writer in my early 20s, which was earlier than a whole lot of other writers, some people write their whole life. I was telling stories verbally. I wasn't writing yet. Once I started to write and develop my skills as an author, now I have 31 books and I'm working on number 32. Okay, so I've been writing for a long time, seriously. But I came up with something that I call the 5 key components of literacy. Right here on this card here, I got the 5 keys. And so I'm going to discuss them with you. And I'm going to continue to talk about it and promote it. But the 5 keys of literacy are very important, not just for reading and learning, but for life in general. But I'm going to break it down for you so you understand exactly what it is and that we have no confusions or arguments over why it's important and how important it is to know how to read and write and think and visualize and apply. Those are the 5 elements. I'm going to put up my 5 hands, okay? Put up both hands. 5. Reading, writing, thinking, visualization, and application. They will never change. Those 5 things we all need to do. And I'm talking about all around the world, whether it's Jamaica, whether it's Africa, whether it's Europe, whether it's Asia, whether it's Australia. I don't care if it's on the moon. You got to learn how to read and write and think and visualize and apply. And that's what I've been doing my whole life as a writer, as a thinker, as a successful young Black man. Okay, now I'm an older dude, got the gray hairs to prove it, but I had to go through my stripes and understand what it is I needed to learn. So we're going to start with number 1. I have a bunch of small definitions for what everything is. So number 1, reading. You can never get around what reading is. Reading is simply defined as taking in information. That's what we do. When you put on reading glasses, so you can read information. When you get to the stop sign, you want to read the information. When you're in the hallway and you got stuff on the walls, you want to read the information. Now you have cell phones and computers. You want to read the information. So we never get outside of reading. That's what we do. Even blind people learn how to read with their fingers, Braille, so they can read the information, okay? They also hear the information. And so we're going to break down the 5 ways in which you take in information. Number 1 is eyes, okay? Everything you see is taking in information. I happen to have very good eyes. 2015, that's baseball eyes. Regular people have 2020. I got 2015. They have some people that have 2010, which is exceptional eyes. So I'm reading all the time, okay? Taking in information with my eyes. What you hear, music, you're listening to me right now. That's taking in information. Can you understand what I'm saying? Am I clear? Am I projecting myself? We have some people that mumble, some people that can't speak correctly, some people that speak a lot of slang and you don't understand them. Can you understand when a person speaks? That again is taking in information. Then we have a nose, this thing right here, where you can smell things. And what I've noticed, me being an older man now, women are constantly smelling more than guys do, unless you happen to be a guy that's a chef or a cook. You can smell more than some women do. But women, what's that smell? What is that? What is that smell? Because they typically are the cooks all around the world. And so they're smelling things more. But if a man is into smelling things and being a cook, he will use this nose to take in more information than guys typically take in. Okay. Then I have these fingers right here, right? These fingers can touch. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it wet? Is it slippery? Is it hot? So now we're taking information in with everything that we touch, everything we feel is taking in information. So now we're taking in what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we can touch. And another thing, I got something called a tongue. I stick my tongue out, taste buds. Is it nasty? Is it good? Is it hot? Is it spicy? So we read things with our tongue because that's what we do as humans when we eat. Whether it's Jamaican food or African food or soul food or Italian food or French food, we're eating things that we can read, taking in the information. So I don't care who you are, what you do, you're always taking in information. You just didn't know what it meant to read, but that's what you're doing. You're reading. I can put a thermostat in my mouth to read my temperature. Am I at 96 or am I over 100? Okay, to figure out if we're sick or healthy. So reading is something that we all do all the time. We just needed a simplified definition. Omar Tyree said, reading is taking in information. And that's what I want you guys to do for the next 35 minutes to an hour, however long it takes me to get this across to you. Okay, so that's number 1. So when I hear a person say, I don't like to read, or I'm not into reading, this doesn't make any sense. That means I always tell them, if you're not into reading and you don't like to read, can I poke your eyes out? Can I cut your ears off? Can I slice your nose off your face? Can I pull your tongue out and cut it off? Can I cut your fingers off? Since you said you don't like to read, because you don't know what reading is. Everything you see is reading. Everything you hear is reading. Everything you smell is reading. Everything you taste is reading. Everything you feel is reading. Now, when you can read words and letters in the alphabet, and you can read your cell phone, and you can read a computer, and you can read the temperature, and you can read the weather, and you can read space, you have more information than an individual who doesn't like to read and doesn't read. So I'm telling everybody right now, stop saying you don't like to read and learn how to read more, because it's important to stay in tune with the world and to continue to advance. And so, yeah, reading is number one and will always be number one. Since I was a young kid in the bottom of West Philadelphia, I was reading everything that moved from the people that were older than me, that were around me every single day. And that's how I learned faster than kids my age. And that's how I learned to be a storyteller, by reading everything that moved around me. So stop saying you don't like to read, and understanding that taking in information is life, and you're going to do it every single day. Now, the second component is writing. We go back to this card again, right? I'm going to post it somewhere. You can go to my website, hotliverentertainment.com. I'm going to post this video and post the breakdown of the 5 key components. Number 2, writing. What is writing? I got a camera on right now, and it's writing everything I do, right? When I move, you move. Just like that. If I move this way, you're going to follow me. If I move this way, you're going to follow. If I lean back and move around, you're going to follow me. That's what your eyes do when we write. Writing, simple definition, the ability to communicate. I'm writing right now without writing with a pen, without typing anything up. I'm writing when I speak, because that's what writing is. Information communication. So we communicate by writing, by speaking, by moving. Everything you move, and even my face can write, right? They say written all over your face. So if I do this right here, I'm mad. If I do this right here, I'm smiling. If I do this right here, I'm tired. So we can read a person's face. If they're confused, they do this, right? So you can read a person's face. I know certain females that's so reactive. Everything you say to them changes their facial expression. And then I can just look at them, whether they like something I said or didn't like something, but their face is changing. And all you need to do is read the writing that they're doing on their face. But when you can't communicate, and you can't speak, and you don't know a language, and you don't know how to pronunciate or enunciate, now you got a problem, literate person or illiterate person, because now people don't understand you and can't get you. And when they don't understand you and can't get you, they can't follow you. They don't want to do business with you. They don't want to do anything with you. You can't get a girlfriend. You can't get a job. You can't join a team because they don't understand you. Writing is very important, the ability to communicate. Now we got something called cell phones, right? What if you can't write? If you can't talk and you can't type and you can't send a picture, you can't use a cell phone, because that's what all cell phones are doing. Writing, communicating. I'm writing right now. I got a timer on this thing to make sure I don't go over an hour, right? That's writing, telling me the time from my computer phone, because that's what they are now. But it's allowing me to write. Like this computer is allowing me to write. Like this Zoom app is allowing me to write and give you information. But if I just sit here and did nothing, you're not getting any information. You might look at me and say, I like his outfit. You might look at me and say he's handsome. You might think, okay, well, he's a nice looking dude. He's light brown. You might think all kind of, but I'm not communicating anything more than that until I speak, until I move. That's what writing is. And so when people say that I don't like to write, I don't like to, hey, look at it, you have to communicate. And we got new young people that don't like to communicate, but they do, because they got cell phones. And now they got social media where they communicate all day and all night, right? And they change the language to short language, right? We got different slang languages, right? They may speak a different slang in Jamaica, then Bahamas, then Trinidad, then Haiti. We got the South of the United States. We got the West United States. We got the Midwest. We got Africans. We got Australians. We got British people, all speaking English, but we all got different slang and different components of English. That's communication, that's writing. But when you can write with a pen, now I don't have to talk. I can write with a pen and give it to you. I can type it up put it on something, and give it to you. Then you can read it. But if I can't write, now I got to speak to you. Now I got to move. Now I got to put it on the camera. I got to put it on the video. But if I can write and write a book and write an essay and send it to you on the computer and you can read it, now I communicate it with you without having to be there. That's how important writing is. We're always writing, right? Lights, camera, action. So the camera can write what you do. All film, all television, all lectures. You are writing when you start to communicate to the people through that technological adaptation or whatever you're using. Right now, I'm using a camera. It's called a Logi, L-O-G-I. Only $24, but it's very clean, very clear. I got the sunlight hitting me. I got my hat on from Bob Marley's, Jamaica, bought the hat years ago. So I'm ready, man. I'm communicating right now. And I do this very well because I learned how to do it at a young age, growing up with my aunts and my uncles and my older cousins, where I had to communicate with them and they had to communicate with me. And I had to communicate with my friends. And then I became a writer and a speaker, and I communicate all the time. Writing. We all have to communicate. So when I hear a person say, oh, I don't like to write, let me cut off your tongue, right? And let me cut off your body, because every time you move, you're writing, right? Every time your face moves, you're writing. So you don't have a choice of communicating through writing. You're doing it every day anyway. So you might as well learn how to be good at it and speak effectively and write effectively because you're doing it anyway. So you might as well be good at it. That's what I'm trying to teach. So these 5 elements, those are the first 2. Reading, taking in information, writing, the ability to communicate. And you're not getting around that. As long as you're alive and you're a human, you're going to have to communicate with somebody, somehow, some way, all the time. Okay? We're not hermits in this world. You can try to be as lonely as you want and by yourself, but at some point, you're going to need to communicate to people. And you need to learn how to write in which to do that. So now we get to number 3. Number 3 happens to be one of my favorites, okay, on this card here. Number 3 is thinking. Get up 3 fingers. I love talking about thinking because I figured out at 21 years old when I was at Howard University, that's a great university, African-American university in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. I came out of that university as a top-notch writer and speaker in 1991. So that's been a while ago. But I found out at that time, I think very deeply. The definition, process of everything. We think about everything we do before we do it. And people that don't think enough do stupid things. And then you ask them, what were you thinking? And they can't answer because they didn't think enough. You thought about robbing a man, but you didn't think about getting caught. You think about killing a man, but you didn't think about his posse coming to kill you. You thought the first thing, you didn't think the second and the third. So you didn't think deeply enough. That's what happens with people that don't know how to think effectively. So I found out when I was 21 at Howard University that I was genius. And we don't say that word a lot, especially Black people. Oh, we hate saying that word. White people say it all the time. Isn't that genius? He's genius. She's so genius. That's genius. They use it all the time. Black people, oh, you think you better than somebody. You think you know something. Oh, you calling yourself, you can't do that. You arrogant. You. Look here. At the end of the day, if you think very deeply and nobody else is doing it, then you can go ahead and put that on yourself. A very excellent, accelerated thinker. That's what I use genius for, accelerated thinking. And I came up with that concept of me being genius because I'm curious. Geniuses are always curious. We want to know more information. We want to know all the time. We want to figure it out. And so I used to ask people this general question all the time, just out of curiosity, because I end up being a storyteller, a journalist, a writer. I always want to have information so I can write and talk about it. So I would ask people randomly. I didn't have to know you. I just walk up out the street, out the clear blue sky and say, hey, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? What are you thinking? I just ask people that all the time. I love that question. Do you know what the most common answer was? Nothing. So when I'm sitting there thinking, I'm thinking stuff all the time. I'm a hyper thinker. I'm thinking constantly. But I'm asking people, and they say they're thinking nothing. And I'm like, wow, you're thinking nothing? And I'm thinking a million things a second. So I said, I must be a genius because I'm the only one thinking, and I got all these people thinking nothing. But it's a lie. when you say you're thinking nothing. You're processing things, you just don't want to tell me. So when I ask random people what you're thinking, this is what they process. I don't know you. Why am I telling you what I'm thinking? I don't know you. What I'm thinking is crazy right now, and I don't want to validate that I'm crazy, so I ain't going to tell you. I don't know you. What I'm thinking, I haven't processed enough to explain right now, so I'm going to tell you I'm thinking nothing. What I'm thinking is crazy, and I don't want to validate my craziness by telling you. What I'm thinking is unimportant, so why should I tell you the unimportant things in my head? Therefore, you say nothing, which means leave me alone. And so I leave you alone. Okay, she's thinking nothing, which is a lie. But guess how this happens now? If somebody that wants to do something great comes up and asks you what you thinking and you say nothing, let's do the math now, because I went to school, y'all all went to school. Nothing plus nothing equals what? Nothing subtracted by nothing equals what? Nothing multiplied by nothing equals nothing. What? Nothing. Nothing divided by nothing equals what? Nothing. Nothing to the 8th power is still nothing. So every time you say you're thinking nothing, what you do is throw all your ideas and your value out the window. You know what Omar Tyree did when you asked me what I was thinking? I told you. I'm thinking about this book right now. I'm thinking about the people. I'm thinking about traveling back to Philadelphia. I'm thinking about the trip I missed to Jamaica because my passport wasn't up to date and I couldn't get it fast enough in 5 days to get there. I'm thinking about traveling to Africa. I'm thinking about traveling to China. And then they get up, well, damn, I didn't know you was thinking all that. You asked me what I was thinking and I told you that's what I'm thinking. That's how I process. So when it's time for me to think, I don't have constipation. I get it out. And that's what geniuses do. We say what we're thinking. And y'all say, he's crazy. And then you say, I was thinking the same thing, but you was afraid to say it. You were scared to say it. You thought somebody was going to label you crazy. And so you got scared and shut up and you said nothing, which is a lie. We got to stop lying, y'all. We got to start being literate people who understands how to explain what you're thinking. If you know how to write, and you know how to read, then now you have to learn how to explain yourself. The process of everything is thinking. And if you were really thinking nothing, you'd be butt naked every day because it takes a thought to put your clothes on. I'm not dressed this way randomly. I went in my closet and grabbed out my Bob Marley hat. I'm not dressing this randomly. I grabbed this vest that matched the Bob Marley heart. I'm not dressing randomly. I put a pocketbook on because it looked like I got me a soldier, a knife, a machete, or a gun. So I'm doing this very strategically, thinking about what my image looks out all around the world. Think about what people are going to think about when they see me doing this 5 key components all around the world because I've thought about it. That's what people do. That's what geniuses do. That's when we want to make a real effect, we think about it. We don't do nothing random. Okay? So the next time somebody asks you what you're thinking as a literate person, be brave enough to explain it. And if they can't take it, then that's their problem. Don't constipate your thoughts by saying nothing, because nothing plus nothing divided by nothing, subtracted by nothing, multiplied by nothing to the 8th power is still nothing. And every time you do that, you lower yourself to nothing. In the geniuses of this world, we learn how to express ourselves when we're asked what our ideas are. But the people that say nothing, okay, let me walk away and talk to the person that knows something. Talk to the person that got an idea. Talk to the person that can be a part of my think tank. If you're not thinking, you can't be a part of this think tank. You're going to get invited to the table. You're going to get locked outside. So we got to learn how to maintain literacy and effectiveness through those first 3 components, right? I'm going to go back again. Reading, taking in information. Writing, the ability to communicate. Thinking is the process of everything. And you wouldn't even have clothes on if you're thinking nothing, because whatever you put on right now while you're watching me, you thought about it. The clothes that just jump on your body, you pick them out and put them on. That's the first thing you do. If you brushed your teeth this morning, you thinking about your breath. If you ate breakfast, you thinking about your belly. You thinking all the time. So don't tell me you thinking nothing. Stop doing that. I'm trying to teach y'all something right now. That's what literacy is. 1, 2, 3. Thinking is the process of everything. Now let's go to number 4. Okay. Now I didn't have number 4 initially. I was doing my Urban Literacy Project. That's the project I opened up. That's a pamphlet right there, Urban Literacy, because I'm from an urban area in Philadelphia, very urban. You know, Philadelphia, we got the row house mentality. Row house is all packed up, 600 people on the block, right? Jamaicans have been all through Philadelphia. We got the pen relays that we run every year. Jamaica, Jamaica, USA. You know, I was right there. I'm from Philadelphia. So I done been to the pen relays at least 20 different times, right? Ran for Central High School. Y'all remember that? William Reed was on my team. I wasn't as fast as William Reed, but I was on that team for Central, okay? So when we talk about literacy and the Urban Literacy Project, that's what I'm all about. So we're going to get to the fourth component, visualization, which I didn't have initially. I just had reading, writing, and thinking. I had three. This is going all the way back to like 2008. Okay, so it's been a while since I've been doing this. But a teacher, a Black teacher said, yeah, Omar, I like that, the reading, the writing, and the thinking component, but you need to add that kids need to visualize what they see, and then they need to apply it. And so I'm giving credit to the sister, California sister, put that on me. I was like, yeah, you're right. They got to visualize what it is and then apply what they're doing. So we're going to go to number 4 on this card here, which I'm going to put all the key components out again. Reading, writing, thinking, and visualization. Now that definition gets more tricky, so I'm going to tell that one. Visualization is the ability to see past, present, and future through words and ideas. I'm going to say that again. Visualization is the ability to see past, present, and future through words and ideas. Watch how visualization works with a vocabulary. Jamaica, Africa, Japan, London, Canada, Hawaii, breakdancing, shark, tiger, car, Pele, Bob Marley, Rihanna. You see the vision if you know the word. But if you have no vocabulary, you don't see anything. So if I say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and you don't know what it means, nothing pops into your head. So I was teaching a class in Philadelphia in the summer one year, and we asked the kids, you know, that famous question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which is a visualized question. You have to visualize yourself as an adult to answer that question. What do I see myself being in the future? That's a visualized question. And kids give all these answers. They typically give an answer of what they can visualize, what they can see. And so I'm in Philadelphia, and I was teaching third graders at the time in North Philly. And so immediately they start saying things that they typically see. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. They're naming things that they understand, that they can see. They understand the vocabulary. Watch what happened. One girl in there said, I want to be a real estate agent. The other kid stopped. Real estate agent? What the heck? They didn't know what she was talking about. This young girl had a bigger vocabulary. Obviously, somebody in her family sold real estate. So she knew the word and she wanted to be one of those. But the other kids didn't know in the third grade. Real estate, what's she talking about? So I had to give them the vision as the adult who understood it. I said, have you kids ever seen a house that had a sign on it that said for sale? Oh, yeah, I see that all the time. I said, that's real estate. People who buy and sell houses and property. Now they understand the word. Now the vision pops in their head because that's what a vocabulary does. Let me tell you what happens to people who are illiterate, who have no vocabulary. When I say a word, blue or orange or green, and you've never seen blue or orange or green, and you don't know what it means, then it means nothing to you. If I speak in Spanish or I speak in French, and I don't know Spanish or French, I don't know what that means. And so vocabulary is a part of being literate. We have to know what the book is, what the book says, what the word says. So we understand what's going on. Otherwise, we maintain illiteracy, and that's where we're in trouble, which I'm going to explain at the end of all this. So visualization, the ability to see past, present, and future through words and ideas is extremely important for us to be learners, because you're not always going to have an image in front of you. We can't keep showing adults pictures, right? You got, at some point, you got to read the word and know what the word. I'm not going to keep showing you pictures and images, brother. I understand we got cell phones with all the images and videos, and we got YouTube that we go to learn how to do things, but we used to have directions that shows you how to put together a bike or a kite or to fix something. Now everybody going to YouTube. What if your daggone phone ain't working or your computer don't work and you don't know how to read and visualize what the words mean? Now you in trouble, okay? So visualization is very important. In fact, when I was in school, right, I loved doing this part of visualization. We had these little contractions when we were kids, like this little shaped thing, like a little toy, and it had a string on it, and it had a pointer. And the toy had like maybe 7 animals on it, and it would teach you through visualization. And you had an arrow that spun around on this toy, and you pulled the string, and the arrow spun around, and it pointed to a dog, and it had the word spelled out, D-O-G, and then it had a picture of the dog, and then it talked to you. This is a dog. And you pulled the string and it flipped around again, and then it landed and it pointed to a cat, and then you saw the cat, and then it had the word C-A-T. This is a cat. Meow, meow. And then you pulled the string and the thing spun around again, and then it pointed to a cow, and you saw the cow, and then it had the word C-O-W. This is a cow. Moo. So we learned what the words meant and what it looked like. And then when you go in schools, at the lowest levels, kindergarten, get set, first grade, second grade, third grade, they got visual images all over all the walls. They got colors, they got letters, they got cows, they got alphabet, so they can see what the word means, because you got to see it first. Then once you see it and you lock it in with memory, memorize, which I did all the time as a kid growing up with my aunts and my uncles and my older cousins. I was memorizing everything. And that's what we do to learn. So now you memorize the word, memorize what it is. Then when you hear the word or see the word again, you already know what they're talking about. So I'm going to give you a visualized sentence that I do with kids all the time. And when you have a vocabulary, you know exactly what's going on because you can visualize everything I'm saying. Okay, get ready. Here we go. The boy jumped over the moon and landed in the lake. Here we go. The boy. Do you know what a boy is? I was a boy, and now I'm a man, but I was a boy once. I was a little boy, right? Little guy, right? So you know what a boy means. You know that definition. Jump. Jump, that means I jump up, right? I'm jumping. Over, that means you're going over something. The moon. Do you know what the moon is? You know what the moon is? Bright white, half moon, quarter moon, full moon, whatever it is, right? The moon at night, right? And landed, we know from gravity, if you jump over something, you're going to come down, gravity going to pull you, and landed in the lake, which is the body of water. You're going to get wet. So if we know what all the words mean, when I say the boy jumped over the moon and landed in the lake, you can see exactly what I'm saying. But if you're illiterate and you don't know what a boy is, and you don't know what jumping is, and you don't know what the moon is, and you don't know what landing is, and you don't know what a lake is, then you don't see nothing when I say that sentence. You don't see nothing when I write that sentence. You don't see nothing when you read that sentence. Illiterate. That's what happens to us. How are we going to be liberated people, free people, genius people, people who are educated, people doing stuff if we don't understand what's going on around us because we have no vocabulary? I understand that English is the white man's language, but we here now. He's been had us here for 400 years. You might as well learn it and learn it well. Or you got your own language, learn your own language well. Swahili, Patois, French, I don't care what it is. Learn it well and know what the words mean so you can visualize what you're going to do, right? So we go back to that sentence that we asked the kids, the visualized sentence. What do you want to be when you grow up? You got to see it. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, literate people can see in the future and map out what they want to do. What happens to people who are illiterate? Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do in 5 years. I don't even know what I'm going to do in 5 minutes. I don't even think that far. I don't think it sounds incredibly stupid when I hear people say that. And I was a young boy watching other boys say that nonsense. I was a teenager watching other teenage boys say that nonsense. I'm an adult watching other adults say that nonsense. Brother, you better learn how to visualize with people that know how to read We know how to visualize because we're always reading things in past, present, and the future. So we understand that moves and it changes past tense, present tense, future tense, if you understand, because we got a future. What happened tomorrow was the future. What's happening right now is the present. What happened yesterday was yesterday, right? So we all dealing with time all the time. That's what visualization is. But you got to know what the words mean, people. You got to know what the words mean. So my name is now Omar Rashad Tyree because I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And Malcolm X said, we don't even have our own names. So I said, wow, I know my mom named me Antoine, which is a French name, right? I know she loved me and named me Eric, right? Which is, I think is a Scottish name, Dutch name or something like that. And then we would make Lawrence, right? Which is another Scottish, what's that, Irish name, right? So I'm like, well, I'm not Scottish, French, Irish, none of that, right? I'm a black man in America. Now, of course, you can keep that name. That's who we are and whatnot. But I said, I'm going to name myself now Omar Rashad. And Tyree was my father's name, Robert Tyree. I just liked that name. I just wanted to keep it, wanted to grab that name, right? Because my parents didn't get married. So I didn't get my father's name. So I wanted my father's name. So I went ahead and changed it, right? September 17th or February 17th, my fault, 1992. I went into the court system in Philadelphia, brought in my birth certificate, my social security card, my legal ID, and I think I had to pay like $161 or something like that, and legally change my name. Because I wasn't going to be one of the Muslim brothers walking around talking about my government name is Jack Smith, but he using Qadir Muhammad. Well, you ain't Qadir Muhammad, and you make it legal then if you're going to be Qadir Muhammad. So I made mine legal. I'm not a Muslim, but I love a whole lot of the things that the black Muslims do, right? Christianity, Muslim, Islam, Judaism, all of them have elements of the truth of the one God. So I believe in all of it, but I'm not going to get locked into one set, right? Like the Rastafarians, they believe in what everybody has different beliefs, but it's all about the one. We understand that, and I understand that. But that's what visualization is. You got to be able to visualize what you're doing, what the words mean, so that when somebody asks you what you're going to do in the future, you can properly answer that question without fumbling and mumbling and sounding ridiculous because you don't know what you're going to do in your own future. And I'm going to come back to that because we're going to do this whole run through again, right? So you understand how important those 5 key components of literacy really are in your life. So we're going to run that thing back, but we're going to get to number 5 now. Make sure I check my time. All right, we got 37 minutes. So I got about good 20 minutes left. So we on good time here, and we're going to keep it rocking. All right, so what we're going to do now is get to the 5th component. And the 5th component is, if I can get that, 5th component is application. So we got reading, taking in information, writing, the ability to communicate, thinking, the process of everything. Then we got visualization, the ability to see past, present, and future through words, vocabulary, and ideas. What do you want to be when you grow up? You got to have a vision as a literate person. Illiterate people don't know. That's the wrong thing. Not knowing where you're going, where you want to be, what you can see yourself in. That is a problem that we have to eradicate. I don't care if you say an element herder. You got to say something. See yourself doing something. But now we're at number 5, the last hand. And these are very important. Application. Simple definition, the ability to apply skills. What skills do you have as a human at age 35 years old? If you have no skills as a human at age 35 years, why do you want to be hired to do anything? What value do you have if you have no skills at all? At age 35, this is why literacy is so important. You can't get away from it. I don't care what you do. These skills are important to everybody who is alive. The 5 key components of literacy. Because if you can't apply anything, that number 5, then what the hell am I going to pay you for? What the hell am I going to hire you for? Why am I asking you a question? Why am I even dealing with you if you got no skills as a grown man or a grown woman? What did you do for 35 years of your life? Okay, that's how important being able to apply the application is for your life. Now, let's go back to this thing. We're going to break it down now. right? Applying allows you to be valuable in life. This person can apply the skills that we need so we can hire him. The better your skills, the more you elevate your income, the more important you become. But let's go back to the beginning, right? So we're going to grab this card again. Reading is taking in information. What if you can't read and somebody else got to read for you? And I give you something to read and you can't read it, right? That ain't a good thing. So we're going to talk about employment, right? Black people being able to work, having good jobs, making more money, right? Employment typically has something called an application. So we're going to grab a piece of paper right here, and we're going to call this piece of paper an application. I got scribble, scrabble, and stuff on it. We're going to call that an application right now, right? Watch how this works. This is why I call myself a genius. I'm going to say it anyway. You don't have to like it. I started calling myself a genius at age 21, and I'm not backing down from it because I think very deeply. I process all the time. That's why I'm a writer that wrote 31 books. I'm writing 32 right now. But let's hold up this application, right? Watch how this works, y'all. The 5 key components of literacy. You want a job, you want to make some money, you want to provide for your family, you got to fill out an application. But you don't know how to read. Well, what you think is going to be in this application? They're going to have words that you need to read, but you don't know how to read. So I'm going to ask you your name. I'm going to ask you your address. I'm going to ask you your phone number. I'm going to ask for some references. I may ask about your schooling, all that I got, but you can't read. So you don't know what I'm asking you, but you want me to hire you. You want to make money, but you don't know how to read. But you think this is a game. You think, oh, I don't like reading. I go, oh, okay. But you don't like reading, so you're not good at it, but you want a job. I don't need to read to get a job. Okay, let's deal with it. All right. So that's the first component. You can't read. Let's go to the second skill, writing. Let's go to this application again. Once I ask you what your name is, where you live at, right? How old you are, what school you went to, guess what that is, guys? You got to write. Whether you're going to write it with your hand, whether you're going to type it in, whether you're going to speak it, you got to write. You got to communicate. I don't know your name. I don't know where you live. I don't know where you're from. I don't know where you went to school. I need to know that stuff. You need to write if you want that job, if you want to make that money, right? So you got to read and you got to write. You ain't getting around it. Now we got the value of the job. Watch how this works, y'all. If you're not a thinker, this application may be 1 page, 2 pages, because you got to flip to the back. Always flip to the back, y'all. Front and back. So I get kids say, it's 1 page. No, it's not. It's 2 pages. You flip to the back. Always flip that page over. That's how they catch y'all, right? Because a person that ain't thinking is 1 page. No, it ain't. I'm a book writer. I know you got the front and the back, right? You got the odd and the even. I'm a book writer. I know. This ain't 1 page. This is 2 pages. It's 1 piece of paper, but it got 2 sides. Now, if I fold it, now I got 4 sides. You see how that works? I fold it again, I got 8 sides. That's what thinking people do. Watch how this works. So now you want more money. If you want $5 an hour or whatever, you got a 2-page application. They just want to know the basic stuff. Let's say you now, I want $20 an hour. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to add to that application, baby. So now they're going to add to it, right? Now, there ain't 2 pages, that's 4. You want more money? I got to make sure you can think more. Now I'm going to want more references. Now I'm going to want more schooling. Now I'm going to want more people that can vouch that you worth $25, that you worth $30, that you worth $50 an hour, right? So now it ain't just 2 pages, it's 4. Because if you want more money out of me, you got to be able to think and process more. You want to be the manager? You want to be the supervisor? You want to be the boss? You want to be an entrepreneur? I've been an entrepreneur because I think very deeply. Grew up hustling with my aunts and uncles, going to the store, shoveling snow, mowing lawns. I got the money. I'm putting it in the bank. I know how to talk to people to get the deal. I know how to talk them up to get more, right? You got to do that. You want to negotiate to get more money, but that takes thinking skills, right? So if you want more money, it's going to take more pages than just two. They might even add more to that. They might add a big giant application because they know you can't think like that. Now I done dropped the phone, so I'm going to go down and grab it and put it back up, right? Now they might give you 3 pages, which is really 6 because you got to look at the front and the back. I want more information if you want more money out of me. That's the way the game works, okay? Now, watch how this works again. We talking about the 5 key components: reading, writing, thinking, visualization, and application. Man, we're going to get back to that number 4, visualization. Now, I got to hire 3 people, but I got 25 people that I like. So now I'm going to start doing interviews, but I ain't going to interview 25 people. I'm going to interview 9, but I only got 3 job positions. When I interview 9, guess what? Here comes the visualization, y'all. Watch how this works. Y'all think I'm crazy. I'm genius. I'm saying it again because I process how this thing works. Visualization. When you walk in for that interview, all my brothers walking in with their pants hanging down, with tattoos all over their body, the first thing this employer is doing is visualizing what you're going to look like to represent their company. Huh? But you think, oh, why my dress code matter? Because you are now representing my business. And I want to make sure you represent me in a certain way. That's why we got uniforms in business. I'm wearing a uniform right now. This is for my Jamaican brothers. This is for my African brothers. This is for my warrior brothers. I'm wearing the warrior gear so you get it. Because literacy is war. We got to understand what's going on out here. And I'm a warrior from the heart of city of Philadelphia, from the hardest neighborhood of the bottom. And that's what I am. God made me for this reason. I'm doing it right now. Visualization. Right? So now you come in for that interview and you come in looking crazy with your pants hanging down, but I'm supposed to hire you. And then you're going to tell me, oh man, you shouldn't be looking at what I look like. You should look at my, are you crazy? My eyes can see you. The customers can see you. Why this dude working with all these tattoos and crazy and his pants hanging down at my job? I don't want to be with that. So now you have to represent. I'm not saying every company is not going to have different rules. If you're a rapper or doing something you can get away with that, well, that's the uniform, fine, do what you do. But if you ain't no rapper and you represent McDonald's or Geno's or something, they're going to put you in a uniform and a crazy looking hat because they want you to represent their company. So when they visualize you coming in that door for an interview, that's what they're doing. So as soon as you sit down, they visualizing you. Then they're going to watch how you sit. Then they're going to listen to how you speak. And they're going to ask you questions. Watch how this works, y'all. Visualization, the definition, the ability to see past, present, and future through words and ideas. Watch how this works. When you sit down for the interview, so where did you grow up, Omar? Where would you grow up? Oh, I grew up in West Philly, and then I moved to Mount Airy, and I went to Catholic school. Then I went to Central High School, one of the tightest academic schools in the city. And then I wanted to play football, so I went to University of Pittsburgh. Then I just got, I wanted to be around my own people, so I left Pittsburgh, and I went to Howard, one of the top HBCUs in the world, in the country. That's my past. I got to understand how to explain it to this employer because I want that job, and he's going to ask about your past. Every interview you sit down, they want to know where you came from. That's going to happen. Here comes the second question. So what are you doing now, Omar? What's going on in your life now? I'm working on another book. I've been trying to do films forever, man. I got these Eagle book coming out, the Philadelphia Eagles. I grew up playing football. I love the Eagles, of course. They went to the Super Bowl and won it a couple years ago. They started off the season playing against Brazil. So I had a game against, I think not Brazil. They played against the Green Bay Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And so I wrote about that. And it was a fabulous book. I wrote that, put that together. I'm going to be selling that this year. I'm working on a book called The Witch Doctor. So I'm telling them right now what I'm doing right now, right? Because every person wants to know, what are you doing right now? Because they thinking, what am I competing with when hiring you? What are you dealing with if I'm thinking about hiring you? Then they get to that important question. So what's your plans for the future, Omar? When an employee asks you that, they thinking about how you fit into their plans. So you got to say stuff that makes sense to them. So if I'm talking to a movie person, I'm like, man, I got a whole lot of screenplays done. I got movies, man, African movies, Caribbean movies, inner city movies. I got science fiction. I got to say stuff that means something to that employer or whoever that person is that I'm trying to impress. So I got to think about the future. I can't say it and say, I don't know, I haven't thought about it. I got 8 more people I'm going to interview. It's only 3 going to get that job. You better think about the future. You better visualize how you can get that job. You got to say something that makes sense to that employer, that makes sense to that record company, that makes sense to those investors, that makes sense. How am I going to get my money back if you don't see the future and how you're going to get my money back? That ain't going to work, y'all. So literacy is important because when you sit down to get that job and you can't read, which means you can't take in information, you can't write, which means you can't communicate. You can't think, but you want more money. Oh, you better go get that broom and that mop. You ain't gonna be no supervisor, no manager, no entrepreneur. You can't think, and you walk around talking about you thinking nothing. Oh, you gonna have nothing because you ain't getting no job from me. And if you can't visualize them, why are you with my company anyway? We want people to have a vision for our company that can take us farther, that can do something that make us more money and make us exceptional. You got to have a vision. The Bible says, without vision, the people will perish. Without literacy, the people will perish. You can't be liberated without literacy. So we come right back to that application, right? I'm going to hold it up again. You want a job, you want to make a money, and you want to make a living, but you can't read, can't take in information. You can't write, can't communicate, can't spell, can't type, right? You can't think because you're thinking nothing. Nothing plus nothing equals nothing. Subtracted by nothing, divided by nothing, multiplied by nothing, still equals nothing. But that's a lie. You're thinking stuff. You got to get bold enough, brave enough, right? Literate enough to explain what you're thinking. So the other person can say, that's genius. Let's do some business. That's what happens all the time to thinking. The other person, that's the same thing I was thinking. Let's do business. But if you say nothing, I'm walking away because you ain't got nothing I can invest in. And if you have no vision, you can't see your past, your present, and your future, then I already know you're going to perish. You ain't working for me. Get on out of here because you have no skills that you can apply for this job. You have no skills that you can apply in your life. And then you wonder why you behind. You wonder why you in jail. You wonder why you can't get ahead. Now, we understand that racism is here, but racism becomes easy if you ain't literate. So I get a whole lot of brothers in jail, which is ironic, that read now. They know me in jail more than they know me on the streets. You know why? Because the streets got them distracted where they don't read, right? And then they get locked up and they got nothing but time on their hands. Now they discover Omar Tyree. Now they discover Malcolm X. Now they discover Huey Newton. Now they discover all this reading stuff. It's sad that we got to lock a brother up to get them to read. What I'm telling you right now, the 5 key components will never go away, right? I got the Urban Literacy Project. You can invite me out to speak to more people, but you need to learn this system. I got a whole curriculum set up off the 5 key components of literacy. Wrote it in 2009, ready to pitch it to anybody, any school, any nation, because it works and you ain't getting out of it. And I wrote a book called 12 Brown Boys. Because I'm a brown boy. I got 2 sons. I got 2 little brothers. I got little cousins. I grew up with the boys. I played football. 30 boys on the team. I played football for about 6-7 years, organized. So I was always around other boys, understanding how we get down. Wrote that book, but boys don't like to read. And parents don't make them read. You better wisen up and make them boys read because they need to be literate. They need to understand what reading does. It pops open your brain cells so you can be genius too. And you're reading something. You're going to read something. So I got a whole lot of books. If y'all don't know, look up my name, Omar Tyree, OmarTyree books. Look that up and it'll pop up everywhere. I also have my website, hotlivesentertainment.com, and also in various student business. This right here is called The Equation, right? In the center is purple, the color of royalty. Right outside the purple is gold, the color of skill. Right outside that, actually outside the purple is green, is support. That's support. Then you got the yellow or gold, which is skills. And then you got the red for passion and energy. It starts with energy, then you get skills with the gold, then you get supporters, then you become purple, which is royal, right? But that's literate. It's another thing, the equation. I can teach you that. I got a book out called The Equation, the 4 indisputable elements of the business, right? You can look that up from Omar Tyree. So I've been doing this, trying to educate our people because it's important. So before I wrap up, I want to go ahead and break down the other literate things that we need to have. Financial literacy is important. We need to know our money and our business, y'all, for real, okay? We need to have financial literacy. Then we need to have technological literacy. Right now, I'm doing a Zoom call. I wasn't hip to this for years. I did them, but I wasn't on it. Now I have to do it more because I have to make sure I can spread my message as much as possible. Anywhere I need to spread it, how I spread it, got to get it, got to use technology. It's not going to change. The internet, social media, apps, all that stuff is going to keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. So we got to learn how to get astute with it. Technology, you can't run away from it, dude. We got to have internet. We got to have them satellites, all that stuff. I don't care what island you on. I don't care what it is. You got to be a part of the world. The technological world, we ain't got a choice. You can argue about it all you want, but I got to use this Zoom call, this app, and edit and all that kind of stuff so you get the message all around the world for my brothers and sisters and everybody who need to understand what literacy is. And then we got social literacy. I didn't want to be social. Right? I go in my little cabin, my little hermit state. A lot of geniuses are not as social as other people are because we're thinking all the time in our own little hole of thinking, right? But I have to be more social now because that's what it is. Social media got numbers. They got followers. They got friends. And you look at my thing and I look at my website and all that, and I ain't got no people following what I'm doing. Then you look at that and say, well, nobody's listening to you. Nobody's following you. Nobody hears you. So now I got to figure out how to be social. How to adjust to new people, lots of new people, so they get my message. How to use the new technology, so they get my message. How to pay for technology, financial, so they get my message. But at the end of it, I gotta have something to say that makes sense. So I gotta read. I'm gonna grab this thing out again. Gotta be able to read. Gotta be able to write. Gotta be able to think. Gotta be able to visualize, and gotta be able to apply, so that the technology means something. The social media means something. And financial literacy, dude, if you can't do what I just said, finances ain't gonna work. Because you gotta be able to read what the people want and give it to them. That's reading. You gotta be able to write when you give it to them. You gotta be able to think ahead and figure out how the new changes are gonna change what you do and adapt to it. So this is Omar Tyree. You can get a lot more from hotliventertainment.com, all spelled correctly. The 5 key components of literacy. I said it, and I'm not backing down from it. Sorry I couldn't make the trip to Jamaica, but I came up with this idea instead, and I'm going to send it to everybody, because it ain't just Jamaica. It's the Bahamas. It's Haiti. It's South Africa. It's Brazil. It's Venezuela. It's New York, the Bronx. It's Chicago. It's LA. It's London. It's Japan. It's India. It's France. It's all over the world. Greece, London, right? Ireland, everybody. It's the same thing, white, black, yellow, brown, red, whatever. Reading, writing, thinking, visualization, and application created by Omar Rashad Tyree, the black man out of West Philadelphia. Thank you very much. Play it back and take notes.